Merci beaucoup, she whispered, smiling endlessly. Etienne knew his own mind and desires, and this pretty woman who sat by him every day and evening had taken up his fancy. He did not speak good English, but understood the language as best he could. And if it was about amorous discourse, he had a few phrases laced with the sensual, silky notes of his own voice. For close to a year, he visited the country for business, and they met each time he came. Dr. Ayamga had no whiff of the Frenchman yet. One early evening he visited Vera again. The knock on the door grew louder and impatient. She opened to see Ayamga's intense look on his face. "Oh dear, I wasn't expecting anyone. Come in quickly. My neighbors have long necks to scout my compound. You know my history with gossip in this town. No more." She led him to the hall. "Wine?" "Sure, and bring yourself a glass." "I will." The rain clouds that had been gathering finally let down their showers, accompanied by a soft, comforting breeze. Vera watched Ayamga with hawk eyes. His body was beginning to settle deep into the couch, completely relaxed. The rain intensified. "You will have to spend the night here. Let me get Ofori's room ready for you." She would not drive this man away in the rain. None of her siblings would. He had been of tremendous help to them, and they would never be able to pay him enough in this lifetime. Before she finished changing the bedspread, he was in the room. "Please hang your coat over there and feel at home. Supper will be served in 10 minutes. She turned to go, and he pulled her against him. She squirmed her way out of his hold and fled. "Childish," he smirked. After supper, he went back to the room to lie down a while. He heard the sound of the TV and came out to join Vera to watch the news. It appeared his attention was not on the news as he got up and joined her in her armchair. She shifted to the edge, and he laughed. As he moved to join her, she stood up abruptly and left the hall, locking herself up in her room. She knew what Ayamga was after, but she was not ready to give herself up to an amorous relationship with him. The rain stopped after about an hour. Ayamga got into his car and drove off, muttering, "Childish, childish, childish," under his breath all the way home. Vera came out to put the TV off and thought Ayamga had gone to bed. She went to sleep and got up early to prepare breakfast for him. She knocked on his door and heard no response. She opened the door, and he was not in the room. She hurried to look outside and discovered that his car was not in the driveway. They met the following week. "You skipped breakfast the last time," she queried. "I skipped nothing. I left after the rain." "Oh," was all she said. "That does it. I'm no more going to suffer your childish behavior." "Good for you." He nearly threw his stethoscope at her. Ofori met Etienne on one of his visits. The strange man was feeling really at home. He opened the door for Ofori with a warm welcome. He called aloud to Vera. Who could this be? Ofori wondered. Could he be one of his father's businessmen from a neighboring country? He might have been directed to Tama to wait for him. Why did Vera not send a messenger to call him home? But then, a different picture was soon painted for him when Etienne was in and out of Vera's room. Ofori waited for an introduction within the hour, and none came, so he pulled Vera aside. How long has this been going on? A year, probably. His eyes spread wide open. What happened to... Yes, your Dr. Ayamga's proposal. My Dr. Ayamga? Ofori chuckled, slightly annoyed. You asked me to mingle, and that is what I am doing, Vera said, taking a confident stance with her brother, who was obviously overwhelmed by his sister's attitude. Vera! Are you really Vera? She laughed at her brother's stunned expression. No, Vera, you have a suitor. Were you not in love with the doctor? I thought you were stalling because of what we went through. My dear brother, love has degrees of affection. And this degree is higher, I guess. You guess right, big brother. This love must transcend tragedy and grief. Ofori carried the news to Aku. Etienne had then left the country when Aku heard of him. She came to Tamar on one of her usual visits. Vera, you are indeed your father's daughter. You resemble him, you walk like him, your mannerisms are similar, and now you've fallen in love with a foreigner, just like your father did. How can you say that? Vera queried, looking a little troubled. Their father's affection was a subject that broke their hearts. She said nothing further in response. It's in your DNA, father and daughter, Aku continued. Well, maybe that's how God planned it for you. Good luck. What makes you happy is fine with me, little sis. Thanks. They hugged warmly, and Vera gave the soon-to-be Commissioner of Police a mock salute. As for Etienne, he was patient with the complex nature of the woman he was already referring to as ma fiancée, and then his patience broke on the last day of one of his visits. He would not budge from her home to go back to his hotel. Marry me now, Vera, oui? Etienne demanded with all urgency. She panicked. She had done a lot of soul-searching about the affair. Aside from that, she contracted one of their business partners to do a background check on Etienne for her. From Etienne's own verbal logbook, he seemed to have traveled extensively on business. Brazil, Singapore, France, and China were his preferred destinations. He was from a fairly large family, with most of the men in polygamous marriages, of which his father was one. Her enthusiasm was beginning to wane when she had the report of his family's marital setup. Then, turning slowly to face him, she held his hands in hers. What? Etienne asked, looking at her quizzically. Etienne? Hello, my darling. Have you been tested for HIV? He went motionless, declining to answer the question, which had succeeded in dousing his desires. Etienne, I asked you a question, she plied. Pourquoi? Why you want to know? Etienne, have you? She waited for an answer, and when none was coming, she went out of the room without a thought to the crestfallen gentleman sitting on the edge of the bed. Indeed, she was wearing him down. He had never worked so hard at a relationship such as this. He desired her so much. Why would she be willing to be with him, yet uninterested in the passion that made a love affair gratifying? He hissed under his breath. What is the point in laboring for love? À quoi bon? He fumed silently as he drove quietly back to his hotel room. He was getting much too often exasperated by her negative mindset. Vera slept rather soundly, yet at dawn a thought played on the edges of wakefulness. She must tell Etienne the story of her life. There was no gainsaying that the man after her heart appeared determined to have her. Whenever her thoughts strayed to him, and that was becoming too often, she would laugh quietly and reproach herself for agreeing to all the cravings of this potential heartbreaker. He had become the joy of her life. She would say yes to him if he asked her again to marry him. She showered quickly, hoping to catch him at the hotel. He opened the door with a curt nod, stepping aside to let her in without a word. She slowly sat on the edge of the couch, noticing his distant demeanor. Though she had expected it, the silence between them felt heavy as she gathered her thoughts. Listen, Etienne, I have something to tell you. Maybe you will understand me if you heard my story. Okay, I listen. Distressing memories hit her like a wrecking ball, breaking every fiber of sanity in her. Yet she did not stop until she had wrung out every bit of her past. As often as a flood of tears welled up in her eyes, he wiped them away, whispering endearments in the language he was most familiar with. When the tears subsided, he made a proposition. He would take the HIV test. She breathed a sigh of relief. In the following weeks, Vera gradually let go of her emotional turmoil. She was beginning to confront and work through her painful experiences. Ofori admired her resilience in putting the past behind her and renewing her sense of purpose. Vera continued to speak at Dr. Ayamga's workshops and seminars. One day he greeted her, "Bonjour." He passed her by as if he had not spoken. Vera frowned and turned to watch him. He was smiling lightly, refusing to lift his head to look at her. Oh, Ofori. She found the fitting piece of the puzzle. He had certainly tattled on her to Ayamga. A welcome gossip, though. Some forms of tale-bearing went well to deliver the necessary information sometimes. She laughed quietly to herself as she took her seat at the auditorium. After the program, she cornered him. "What was that for?" "Oh, love is like a pregnancy. It grows for everyone to see," he drawled as if he were doing a recital. "And are you by any chance seeing it? It befits you." She gave him a side-eye and took his bag from him. "At least let me appease your bleeding heart by carrying your bag." "Oh, so you never really cared about me?" "I do, I completely do." "As what?" "As my doctor." "Oh, come on, give me back my bag." "You see, you also don't seem to bother. You were just trying your luck with me. A jilted person would not take things as easy as you are doing," Vera observed. "What do you want me to do? Jump from the 6th floor of this building and burst open like a watermelon?" She laughed, leading him into his office. As soon as the door was closed, the disappointed young man caught Vera in his arms and planted a kiss on her lips that sent her emotions reeling. They broke apart, breathless and lost for words. When she recovered, she hurried out of his office, deeply flustered. That should be a goodbye kiss. If he repeated that kind again, she might be listening to her body more than her mind. She promised herself never to be in the same room with the doctor again. One early morning, Vera called him to book an appointment. "I should run a test on my rival, okay?" "Oh, come on, we have settled this issue already. We know where we stand with each other." "No, I don't. Please, this is necessary and urgent." "I am busy. I have to travel next week." Whether he agreed or not, she appeared at Ayamga's practice with Etienne. When the doctor saw Etienne, he smiled broadly as if he had met him before. He pumped his hand, clicking fingers. "Congratulations, Etienne, for bagging this glowing pearl," he said teasingly. "Thank you. Je l'aime beaucoup." "Je peux voir ça," the doctor said in flawless French. The two men laughed. They exchanged a few words in French and went on with the paperwork. Vera remained limp in her chair. She was not smiling. When Etienne went into the lab, she found her voice. "You are something else." He tittered, throwing his head back. "I ought to understand passable phrases of foreign languages if I am dealing with tropical diseases all over Africa." "Do I care?" "Oh, you now wish you knew I understood French. You wouldn't have gone in for a Frenchman? Ha, ha, you have good taste, though." He laughed and continued to taunt her. When he got out from behind the desk, Vera flew out of his office to sit outside. She reminded herself she would not be found in the same room with him ever again. According to Ofori's observation, Ayamga had also moved on with the next in line, a young, pretty administrator at a clinic nearby. So why was he tormenting her? Of course, he was peeved at her rejection of him. Some people did not take kindly to that. They often became toxic, if not aggressive. Gladly, Ayamga was neither. He was just becoming a handful with his snide comments, and she was sure he would always make her feel uncomfortable as many times as she came anywhere around him. However, Vera was on tenterhooks, waiting for the call from the hospital. When they were called, Ayamga handed over the test results and left them in his office. Their hands trembled as they both tried to flip open the results at the same time. Etienne was HIV. A huge smile ignited her features. What a relief! Etienne was HIV negative. They both spread out their arms into a tight hug, unwilling to let go. Etienne was the first to break the embrace. He took out a box from his pocket. Vera's eyes widened in disbelief. "Does he carry it around?" she wondered. Etienne went on bended knees. She giggled as he proposed to her there and then. "Vera will be my wife? Yes?" He looked anxiously at her. She looked toward the door. "Not in the dear doctor's office," she said to herself. Instantly her joy took precedence, and she extended her hand for the glorious moment. "Yes, Etienne, I will marry you." Her joy was unbounded as they flew into each other's arms again.